Hey, I'm MindieKniss. This is the Daily Rage. It's looking a little red over here on the left. So let's go through a couple of these indexes. What I want to talk about today is what's easier to trade. Now, many of you know I really love the NASDAQ, but this is the Dow futures. This is on a 10-minute time frame. So what that does is it allows us to see kind of a little bit of the overnight session. This was the open, initially went up and then just kind of fell off for the good part of the rest of the day. However, the NASDAQ was much more all over the place. Yes, it had some like big moves in there, but it certainly wasn't as flowy. And these days, I'm looking a lot more at the Dow and the Russell. I used to trade the Russell almost exclusively when I was learning how to trade. So, in a way, I feel like I'm going back to my roots. But this is just super choppy and super messy, especially up in here, like yuck, versus the Russell, much smoother path. Now, the distinction that every trader needs to answer for ourselves is okay, do I want the higher volatility with the more potential to make money? Or do I want an easier path of making money? For instance, the total range on the NASDAQ today was over 400 points. So let's just use 400 as some easy math times 20 as the multiplier. If you were trading one lot and happened, let's go back to that chart for a second, and you happened to get from like the high way up here to the low way down here, that would be $8,000. That's a fair bit of money for a single lot. Now, let's take the Russell, for example. And although it had a stellar range, I mean, 78 out of an average of 44, like that's still amazing. But if we take 78 times 50, that's only 3,900. I say only. I would be happy with $3,900 on a one lot, but it's nowhere near $8,000. So, as I was saying, all of us need to decide which one is going to work out best for us in the long term. Are we going to get whipped around by this NASDAQ, which I know, like, I know the joy of trading the NASDAQ and I know how great it can be when, something goes your way. Let's say you happen to be short around here and just kind of like rode this big move down, or maybe rode this big move down. Like, there's a lot of great moves in the NASDAQ. But do you have the fortitude to hold through this crazy volatility where you might not need so much fortitude on something like the Russell or, of course, the Dow? It's always going to be different on any given day. Of course, these things can flip and change. And, maybe the NASDAQ looks super smooth tomorrow and these other guys look terrible. We'll see what happens. But overall, for the most part, the NASDAQ is going to be much crazier. I know a lot of you guys trade the S&P. I never usually talk about it because I don't trade it, but even that looks better than the Nas today. Not great. I mean, still the Dow and the Russell look better than that, but the Nasdaq, I would say, looks the worst. I'm Mindy Kniss. Thanks so much for watching.